How's it going, everyone? My name is Matthew Wyatt, and I'm going to be presenting my Aviation 350 Capstone project, and we'll go ahead and get started with that. There we go. Cool. All right. So our aircraft and our conditions. So what'll be happening is we're going on a flight from Lynchburg to Little Rock. However, we need to divert to our alternate, which is Baton Rouge, and we have an ETA at Baton Rouge of 1,800 hours. We're filed in a CRJ 200 slash alpha, and that puts us in a D category for our approaches. As for our inoperative equipment, unfortunately, we have an inoperative flight director as well as an autopilot that is inoperative. And NOTAM for our alternate is that the glide slope for ILS 22 right is out of service, so that's also going to add a little bit of a challenge in there. As for the questions to be answered, for the purpose of determining a weather alternate airport, what is the forecast at Baton Rouge at our ETA? Excuse me. And then what are the lowest legal 1 nav and 2 nav alternate weather minimums as the ceiling and visibility? Is it legal for us to use Baton Rouge as an alternate airport for this flight, and why? And then if the NOTAM was not in place, what would be the lowest legal weather minimum for Baton Rouge? So we'll go ahead and get into that. So for question 1, for our forecasted weather, our ETA is at 1,800 hours. We can see that there's a TAF. This is a section of the TAF. There was one for 1,700 hours, but there's a temporary starting at 1,800 hours, proceeding to 2,100 hours of 1 statute mile, thunderstorms and rain broken at 500 feet, and scattered cumulonimbus at 2,000. So that kind of brings the weather down. Thunderstorms in the vicinity kind of makes it a challenge, but that gives us weather of 500-foot ceiling with 1 statute mile visibility. As for question 2, what are the lowest legal 1 nav alternate weather minimums? So we cannot use GPS approaches, and for our 1 nav rule, as we remember, it's plus 400 feet, and it's plus 1 statute mile of visibility. Really, what we're trying to do here is use alternate airport weather minimums besides our standard IFR 600 and 800 feet for the precision and non-precision approaches. But really what we're doing is using the 1 nav and 2 nav to find the lowest possible approach that we can do, whichever is lower, so we use both in that case. So as for our answer for question 2, we can see here we have all the different sections of the approach plates regarding our minimums. And once we've added 400 onto each one of the minimums and our 1 statute mile, we can see our best option is ILS or localizer 13, which is 601.5 statute miles, which is still too high. We'll still be in the clouds by the time we hit minimums, so therefore that would not work. We can see everything past that. The localizer for 22 right, VOR DME for 22 right, as well as the VOR for 4 left. All of those are above what we had listed. So we'll go to question 3 of what is the lowest legal 2 nav weather minimums. We cannot use GPS approaches just as before, and our 2 nav rule is plus 200 feet and half statute mile of visibility. Things we're looking for is 2 suitable runways, as well as 2 separate approaches based on 2 different navigational aids or transponders or transmitters, rather, that are setting up the approach. So we'll go back to those approach plates and all of our minimums. We can see here that ILS and localizer of runway 13 would be our best option, giving us 400 feet and 1 statute mile of visibility. However, we need to pick 2 from the 2 nav method. We need to pick our 2 lowest minimums, or 2 lowest approaches, but pick the higher one out of the 2. And our next closest is the localizer of runway 22 right, since the glide slope is out of service, which is 610 feet and 1 1/4 statute mile, which leaves us above the clouds again, or still in the clouds, if you will, which is unfortunate. In that case, we could not legally shoot the approach. We would not come out of the clouds in time. So then that leaves us with question 4. Is it legal to use Baton Rouge as an alternate airport? No, unfortunately it's not. When we arrive, our weather is going to be, 500 feet of a ceiling, and then 1 statute mile visibility. If we use the 1 nav method, the best thing we could get is 601.5 statute mile for the ILS of runway 13. So a little bit high, as well as our 2 nav method. We would end up having to use our localizer of runway 22 right, 610 and 1 1/4 statute mile. So still not legal. However, if we go ahead and discuss whether or not we're affected by that NOTAM of the glide slope for 22 right, if that wasn't the case and we still had that same 500 feet and 1 statute mile visibility, our 2 nav method would be the best method to use, and this would get us to our lowest so far, giving us, the ILS of 22 right, 407/8 statute miles of visibility, and then the ILS 13 of 401 statute mile visibility. So in that case, if we use those 2 as our lowest out of all the approaches we could do, and we pick the highest, which would be the ILS for 13, then we would be able to shoot this approach. We would be below the clouds when we hit our minimums. Therefore, we could proceed as long as everything is in sight. So that's it. These are my references for this presentation. Thanks for watching.